Dogs are renowned for their agility, lightning-fast reflexes, and incredible physical flexibility. But out in the open, even the most agile can fall prey to sudden, lethal dangers that strike without warning. A tiger locks its sights on a wandering dog. Driven by killer instinct, it lunges forward for a ruthless attack. In a miraculous stroke of luck, the dog's life is spared when the beast is halted by its owner. A leopard goes on the prowl. It seamlessly blends into the brush, lying in wait for the perfect ambush. A wounded dog emerges from the dense forest, limping to the side of the dirt road to rest. Sensing a prime opportunity, the leopard explodes from cover to take down the vulnerable canine. But the dog's lightning-fast reflexes catch the predator off guard, dodging the cat's signature fatal bite. Realizing this fierce canine is no easy meal, the leopard is forced to abandon the hunt and retreat. A lone lion finds itself surrounded and relentlessly attacked by a pack of hyenas. Outnumbered and isolated, the king of the savannah is overwhelmed by the cunning scavengers. A barrage of vicious bites inflicts agonizing pain on the majestic predator. A dog is curled up on a doorstep, blissfully unaware in a deep sleep. It completely fails to detect the lethal leopard lurking just inches away. The stealthy cat stands frozen, meticulously analyzing its sleeping prey. It locks in on its target, a fatal bite to the neck. By the time the dog wakes up to the nightmare, it's already too late. The helpless canine struggles desperately to break free from the apex predator's grip. The leopard swiftly drags its victim into the shadows before humans can intervene. Hunting a porcupine is a dangerous and agonizing game. The leopard tries every angle, attempting to strike from behind. Will this fierce feline manage to conquer such a heavily armored prey? The defensive porcupine aggressively flares its razor-sharp quills, aiming them directly at the approaching jaguar. But the big cat is incredibly cunning, targeting only the vulnerable, quill-free sections of the porcupine's body. Its calculated attack strategy proves to be surprisingly effective. The panicked porcupine scrambles to escape the relentless pursuit. In a flash, the leopard cuts off the porcupine's escape route. Driven by instinct, the predator lunges in for the kill. But this time, it picked the wrong opponent. Not only does it lose its meal, but it pays the price with a face full of barbed quills. Defeated and in excruciating pain, the predator is forced to back down. This dog's entire snout and oral cavity are now heavily pinned with razor-sharp thorns. The dog sits motionless, traumatized after a foolish and painful encounter. A porcupine catches the dead-eyed stare of a massive python. The serpent slithers in, launching an attack to swallow the armored prey whole. But it never expected the porcupine to weaponize its quills into a lethal counterattack. The python gets absolutely nothing. Its scaly body is left pierced by countless agonizing spines. A leopard has successfully hunted a dog. It secures its prize in its jaws and hoists it high into a tree. In a life-or-death situation, the clever dog plays dead, patiently waiting for a window of escape. A hunting team arrives just in the nick of time, rescuing the lucky canine from the jaws of the predator. A leopard is forced into the trees to escape a vicious pack of wild dogs. The feline waits tensely for the wild dogs to drop their guard. It leaps down to make a break for it. But outnumbered by the pack, the leopard's escape is cut short. It scrambles up another tree for safety. Meanwhile, as a dog rests by the roadside, a leopard launches a sudden ambush. The struggle is ferocious. The leopard executes its signature neck bite, leaving the dog thrashing in a desperate fight for survival. The frantic struggling only intensifies the dog's agony and accelerates its demise. The dog goes limp and stops moving. There is no miracle today. The leopard ruthlessly ends the dog's life. Elsewhere, a hound faces off against a massive lion. The fearless dog does everything in its power to stall the beast, buying time for the hunting party to arrive. Hounds are highly trained domestic dogs bred specifically for the thrill of the hunt. Equipped with unmatched stamina, they can track and relentlessly pursue chased game. They serve as the ultimate biological radar, locating prey for their masters. An unfortunate dog wanders into a troop of relaxing monkeys, sealing a miserable fate. The entire primate gang swarms the intruder. But the dog fiercely barks back, forcing the monkeys to hesitate. Outnumbered, the dog retreats, seeking shelter beneath a tree. Seizing a brief opening, it sprints frantically deep into the forest. By the time the monkeys realize it, their target is long gone. A baby monkey recklessly taunts a pack of dogs, only to find itself chased away in absolute panic. However, when a dog walks away, paying no mind to the primate, the relentless monkey continues to stalk it. Sensing trouble, the annoyed dog is forced to relocate to escape the harassment. A monkey strays too far into the forest and finds itself completely surrounded by a hostile pack of dogs. Fueled by pure adrenaline, the monkey violently swings and counterattacks to smash through the encirclement. It executes a miraculous escape, leaving the dog stunned in its wake. A monkey perched on a railing suddenly drops down, narrowly avoiding the snapping jaws of an ambushed dog below. Using its superior climbing skills, it vaults back up, mocking the dog from above, then drops down again to bait it. Timing it perfectly, the monkey strikes the dog and springs back up, driving the canine into an absolute frenzy. A dog is scavenging through a garbage pile when a monkey brazenly approaches. Instantly, the dog charges out, fiercely defending its turf. The cunning monkey calls in reinforcements to mob the dog. But this canine is no pushover. It aggressively barks the monkeys into submission and casually returns to its meal. The monkeys refuse to back down, relentlessly stalking and ruining the poor dog's already bad day. A tiny porcupine faces down two massive lions. It calmly flares its prickly armor in a standoff. A curious lion tries to paw at the spiky creature. But the highly alert porcupine swiftly darts away. A paved highway becomes a brutal battleground between a leopard and a porcupine. The leopard's front paws are soaked in blood. The bloody result of striking the porcupine's impenetrable armor. The porcupine tries to flee, but the stubborn predator relentlessly continues the assault. After a prolonged and agonizing clash, the battered leopard is forced to concede defeat. Another porcupine has a deadly encounter with the speed kings of the savannah, the cheetahs. The porcupine mounts a desperate defense, maintaining an impenetrable wall of ruffled spikes. Meanwhile, the two cheetahs persistently circle, hunting for a fatal blind spot. The assault plan fails miserably. The cheetah sustains heavy injuries, its body peppered with deeply embedded quills. Although porcupines are a notoriously difficult kill, leopards have a dangerous appetite for this challenging meat. The hedgehog curls tight, using its thorny exterior to shield against the leopard's lethal claws. The grueling battle drags from the forest line onto the blistering asphalt. Ultimately, it is the fierce leopard that waves the white flag first. Like many lethal predators, leopards are masters of the stealthy ambush. Stalking a wild boar, the leopard moves with agonizing slowness, raising the tension of the hunt. It finally tackles the heavy beast, moving to the execution phase, suffocation. The leopard clings to its prey, tightening its deadly grip. Standing on the bleeding edge of life and death, the wild boar fights with everything it has to survive. It thrashes wildly, trying to shake off the lethal predator. But this fierce resistance only ignites the leopard's bloodlust to conquer. It releases its passive hold, stepping back to launch a more aggressive strike. After draining a massive amount of the boar's stamina, the leopard attacks with a new level of ferocity. It sinks its teeth deep into the boar's vulnerable neck. The crushing grip on its vital point forces the boar to squeal in sheer agony. A hyena wanders into hostile territory and walks straight into a wild dog ambush. The pack immediately joins forces to eradicate this dangerous trespasser. Caught in a brutal, one-sided beatdown, the hyena is completely outclassed and overwhelmed. Knowing it's a lost cause, the scavenger has no choice but to run for its life. The black mamba and the leopard are two terrifying names that send shivers down the spine of the animal kingdom. So, if these two apex killers collide, what kind of carnage will unfold? The leopard is visibly thrilled when it uncovers the highly venomous mamba's hideout. It doesn't hesitate to unleash a flurry of razor-sharp swipes. Backed into a corner, the mamba strikes back with its lethal, venom-loaded fangs. But the big cat is relentless, continuously poking and provoking its deadly opponent. The swipes become faster and increasingly aggressive. However, boasting terrifying speed, the mamba slithers away into the brush, leaving the bewildered leopard empty-handed. Wild dogs have never been a match for lions. But with overwhelming numbers, the outcome of this clash is entirely unpredictable. After a tense standoff, the lioness finally asserts her dominance as an apex predator. She suddenly lunges at one of the dogs, baring her lethal fangs to terrify the pack. However, the wild dogs don't back down easily, ruthlessly exploiting their numerical advantage. The entire pack maintains an aggressive siege around the lioness, launching relentless, coordinated attacks. Ultimately, the lioness proves too resilient. The frustrated wild dogs abandon the grueling hunt. A herd of deer peacefully drinking water by the lake is suddenly ambushed by a stealthy leopard. Executing a perfectly calculated plan, the leopard charges into the fray. It instantly snatches a terrified deer and drags it onto the riverbank. The fragile deer is completely defenseless against this notorious predator. It collapses almost immediately, quickly becoming the leopard's next meal. An uninvited guest emerges from the shadows, an opportunistic African hyena, driven by its scavenging nature to steal from other species. This time it targets the leopard's hard-earned kill, but it messes with the wrong opponent, and the result is a bloody, painful lesson. Relying on their massive numbers, the wild dogs show zero fear toward the much larger lioness. They form a tight siege, running circles and toying with the isolated queen. The wild dogs constantly probe for a fatal opening to strike. Infuriated by the relentless, troublemaking stalkers, the lioness snaps, turning to attack and snagging one of the dogs. But the wild dogs are too agile, immediately swarming the lioness to bring her down. Provoked and boiling with rage, the lioness lashes out in all directions to annihilate the attackers. Yet the wild dogs are daring enough to nip at the lioness, provoking a violent retaliation. The wild dogs systematically attack the lioness one by one. It isn't until the lioness retreats into a puddle beside a rock, taking a defensive stance, that the wild dogs finally halt their assault. A dog comes running out of nowhere to disrupt the scene, provoking the snow leopard to fiercely charge and chase the intruder away. Two dogs viciously bite at the snow leopard, brazenly contesting its prey. They take turns launching aggressive hit-and-run attacks, driving the snow leopard into a furious rage. The dogs do everything in their power to force the snow leopard into a retreat. Faced with the sheer ferocity of the canine duo, the snow leopard reluctantly abandons its hard-earned meal. A jaguar desperately tries to escape a relentless hound pursuit. The hunting hounds rapidly close the distance, catching up with the deadly jaguar. The confrontation escalates into a brutal bloodbath. The jaguar strikes first, lunging at the dogs. But the two hounds prove to be equally ferocious competitors. They continuously charge in to deliver vicious bites to their enemy. Surrounded by two relentless attackers, the jaguar bravely fights back. The dogs have absolutely no intention of backing down. They press their aggressive assault on the big cat. Spotting a narrow window of opportunity, the jaguar immediately bolts to save its own life. A tiger is resting peacefully under the shade of a tree. Suddenly, a wandering dog passes by, instantly awakening the beast. A deadly clash erupts. The tiger approaches the intruder. The dog barks fiercely in a desperate display of defense. Possessing strength exponentially greater than the dog, the tiger effortlessly snatches its prey in the blink of an eye. The apex predator secures an easy meal. It drags the victim away to savor the feast. A dog is happily enjoying a delicious meal when a chained monkey nearby decides to cause trouble. The mischievous primate constantly waves its agile paws to harass the eating dog. The monkey even deceitfully uses its leg to stealthily pull the dog's food toward itself. This blatant thievery pushes the dog over the edge. A bizarre battle between the two animals begins. The smart monkey tosses a sharp bark directly at its opponent. The dog realizes its enemy is armed with a dangerous weapon, and wisely decides to back off. The fight comes to an abrupt halt, with neither side suffering any injuries. Elsewhere in the unforgiving wasteland, a mother wild buffalo and her calf fall into the deadly sights of a lion pride. Seizing the perfect opportunity, the lions charge at the mother and her vulnerable calf. Driven by primal maternal instinct, the mother buffalo maneuvers her calf to a safer spot. Then, she valiantly turns to face the incoming lions in a fight to the death. Tragically, one of the stealthy lions manages to snatch the defenseless calf. The mother buffalo charges to the rescue, but it is already too late. She leaves in agonizing despair, abandoning her young to become a feast for the ravenous predators. The lions secure their meal, but a tiny kill can't satisfy the whole pride, sparking a vicious internal brawl. Suddenly, a massive wild buffalo charges in at terrifying speed, ramming a lion straight into the air. The lion lands bewildered and quickly retreats. Fortunately, the punishing blow wasn't fatal. Inside an African national park, a pride of lions is mercilessly crushing a baby elephant. The bloody commotion attracts the attention of a massive herd of wild buffaloes. These living tanks march in to mount a daring rescue mission for the poor elephant. Initiating a coordinated and powerful offensive, the buffalo herd drives away the lionesses, securing the baby elephant's safety. A lone lion has spotted a prime target for today's meal. Creeping dangerously close, the lion suddenly pounces on the wild buffalo from behind. Unfortunately for the apex predator, the buffalo's comrades arrive just in time. The wild buffaloes turn extremely aggressive, utilizing their immense bulk and razor-sharp horns to punish the attacker. Can you predict the horrific fate awaiting the king of the beasts after this clash? What happens when the ultimate hunter finds itself hopelessly lost inside a stampeding herd? The lion is trapped dead center within a colossal herd of furious buffaloes. The lion is viciously trampled into the dirt. A thick cloud of dust engulfs the battlefield. It is nearly impossible to observe the violent carnage unfolding inside. The battered silhouette of the lion briefly emerges. It is suffering repeated, devastating waves of attacks from the giant beasts. The solitary, doomed lion is completely surrounded, sucked into the crushing vortex of hooves until it falls unconscious. Its strength is utterly depleted, there is no fight left. The buffaloes continue to mercilessly stomp and gore the fallen predator, but there isn't a single twitch of life left in its broken body. The king of the savannah is almost certainly dead. While a pride of lions digests their latest kill, a massive male buffalo recklessly charges forward. Buffalo meat is widely considered one of the lion's absolute favorite delicacies, but there are terrifying moments when the giant prey decides to launch a lethal counteroffensive. The ferocious buffalo storms directly into enemy territory, locked onto a singular, violent mission. African buffaloes present the ultimate, perilous challenge that lions constantly seek to conquer. But luck entirely abandons the lord of the grasslands in this brutal encounter. The lion tumbles into the center of the herd. Its condition deteriorates rapidly. It is forced to endure devastating, heavy blows. The buffaloes take turns delivering bone-crushing strikes. Seeing the lion still desperately struggling, they amplify the sheer destructive power of their attacks. With the situation spiraling out of control, the lion attempts a frantic escape, but its severely injured body drastically cripples its speed. The lion simply cannot break free. Every agonizing move is tracked by the burning, vengeful eyes of the fierce buffaloes. However, the herd decides not to execute the fatal blow. They slowly retreat, leaving the battered lion in the dirt. A male lion blitzes toward a buffalo herd like a heat-seeking missile and snatches a young calf. How much time does the lion have to devour the calf before the enraged mother storms in for revenge? The furious mother buffalo weaponizes her razor-sharp horns, violently flipping the apex predator upside down in midair. Fortunately for the lion, the mother buffalo merely intended to deliver a bloody, unforgettable warning. A short clip captures a bizarre moment. A monkey nonchalantly drinking from a stolen baby bottle is suddenly ambushed by a dog. Startled, the primate drops its loot and leaps off the railing. Curious, the dog approaches the discarded milk bottle to investigate. But the cheeky monkey swats its rear end, triggering a comical yet chaotic brawl between the two. An entire pack of dogs scrambles frantically, trying to scale a sheer wall to catch a monkey lounging arrogantly at the top. The monkeys are fully aware that dogs can't climb, but the stubborn canines refuse to stop trying. A vicious pack of wild dogs waits hungrily for the exact second a baboon makes a fatal misstep. It must be said, this particular baboon displays incredible, borderline suicidal bravery. He drops down from the safety of the tree, maintaining cold eye contact with the predators. The wild dogs instantly charge, forcing the baboon to scramble back into the branches. Noticing the bloodthirsty gaze of the pack, the baboon climbs even higher to secure its safety. The entire dynamic of the battlefield is now completely dictated by the primates. A solitary cheetah, when confronted by an organized gang of baboons, is instantly reduced to a coward, fleeing in absolute disgrace. The baboons relentlessly hunt the cheetah. No matter how fast the Speed King sprints, the enraged primates stay hot on its heels. The drooping posture of the exhausted cheetah signals the humiliating end to the chase. A gruesome fight for survival is underway. A giant python has a deer locked in a deadly constriction. Although the deer uses every last ounce of energy trying to stand up, its efforts are completely futile. The python's immense muscle bundles crush the prey, snapping bones and rupturing blood vessels. The deer is utterly helpless against the suffocating pressure. This monstrous serpent measures 8 meters long and weighs nearly 100 kilograms. Fueled by pure instinct and an unwavering determination to annihilate its prey. After successfully crushing the life out of the deer, the python begins its monstrous feast. Following a grueling effort to stretch its jaws, the cold-blooded hunter swallows the massive prey whole. 2 curious hyenas creep closer to investigate the lethargic, fully fed python. One unusually bold hyena steps dangerously close into the snake's strike zone. The python instantly recognizes the scavenging threat. It immediately whips its head around, displaying a terrifying, defensive posture. Repeatedly intimidated by the giant serpent, the 2 scavengers wisely decide to back off and stay alive. A python slithers vertically up a tree trunk, actively hunting for its next victim. Suddenly, an alert pit bull detects the lethal intruder invading its territory. The pit bull unleashes a barrage of ferocious, warning barks. The python remains chillingly calm, coiled in a steadfast defensive stance. Spotting a critical vulnerability, the cunning pit bull lunges, dragging the massive snake violently to the ground. Despite being attacked from multiple angles by the aggressive dog, the python proves incredibly flexible, constantly turning to face its attacker. A helpless puppy thrashes wildly, trying to break free from the python's deadly grip. The more the puppy struggles, the tighter the ruthless serpent squeezes. In the final moments, humans intervene. The lucky dog narrowly escapes a horrific death. A chaotic close-quarters battle erupts. A snake finds itself fighting for its life against two aggressive dogs. It continuously strikes back, desperately trying to open a window for escape. A decisive, life-or-death battle takes place. A ferocious dog goes head-to-head with a deadly king cobra. The dog utilizes lightning-fast, hit-and-run tactics, overwhelming the cobra's ability to defend itself and deploy its venom. Lured by the distressed cries of an antelope, a greedy hyena moves in to hijack the python's hard-earned kill. The hyena attempts every trick to rip the antelope from the python's coils, but fails miserably. Growing impatient, the notorious thief uses its bone-crushing jaws to lift both the python and the antelope simultaneously. Violently dragged, the outmatched python has no choice but to surrender its meal and retreat. Waking from a deep slumber, the giant python feels a ravenous hunger. It begins to slither outward in search of fresh meat. The cold-blooded predator navigates toward a swamp, the thriving territory of hundreds of giant capybaras. Spotting its target, the predator silently glides into the murky waters for a stealth approach. The capybara calmly eats and drinks, completely oblivious to the lethal danger lurking just inches below the surface. Seizing the perfect window, the python explodes from the water, sinking its fangs into the prey with terrifying ferocity. Without breaking a sweat, the snake wraps its deadly coils around the struggling victim. With its massive size advantage, the python effortlessly swallows the giant rodent straight into its stomach. A pride of lions is resting lazily in the tall grass. Suddenly, an oblivious stray dog wanders straight into the kill zone. The lions instantly react, forming an inescapable perimeter around the doomed victim. With one fatal, bone-crushing bite from the male lion, the wild dog's life is instantly extinguished. Lions very rarely consume the flesh of wild dogs. They execute them purely to eliminate competition and assert total dominance over their hunting grounds. A leopard is actively prowling for blood. It encounters a dog and immediately launches a lethal strike. Realizing the dog is aggressively defending itself and won't go down easily, the leopard smartly abandons the attack. Once a leopard locks onto a target, it executes the hit with zero hesitation. Even as the rest of the herd flees in blind panic, the brave wildebeest mother turns back to face death in order to protect her vulnerable calf. The terrified predator barely manages to scramble up a tree, narrowly escaping the horrific wrath of the enraged wildebeest mother. The ferocious leopard violently tears into its fresh kill. A snake secretly slithers into a residential garden. This cold-blooded intruder instantly triggers the protective instincts of two guard dogs. The curious dogs aggressively bark and trap the snake in a deadly circle. One fearless dog lunges in, clamping its jaws around the serpent's body and violently thrashing it to the side. The crushing force of the dog's bite instantly terminates the snake's life. A muscular pit bull freely roams through the dense forest. Suddenly, the dog spots a massive python slithering nearby. Without a second thought, the pit bull dives in and bites down hard on the massive reptile. The snake is subjected to a relentless, violent mauling. Boiling with fury, the python strikes back, nailing the pit bull right in the face. But the dog shows absolutely zero fear. The pit bull becomes increasingly unhinged, barking furiously and threatening the giant serpent. After delivering a brutal beatdown, the dog steps back to catch its breath, keeping a menacing eye on its enemy. Spotting a sleeping dog in a residential yard, the leopard boldly vaults the fence to execute a lightning-fast ambush. A savage, bloody brawl erupts right in the middle of the yard. The courageous dog proves it refuses to go down without a fight to the death. It seems the predator has claimed victory when its lethal fangs finally sink deep into the victim's neck. But suddenly sensing incoming danger, the leopard abandons the kill, effortlessly clearing the high wall in a single bound. Leopards possess an insatiable hunger for dog meat, pushing them to brazenly break into human settlements just to score a kill. They target dogs simply because they have poor defensive capabilities and notoriously weak situational awareness. A leopard has its jaws locked on a dog. Even with blinding car headlights shining directly on it, the cold-blooded killer doesn't flinch. Miraculously, the dog survives when the beast finally decides to drop its prey and vanish into the night. Their eyes are hyper-focused, locking onto the target. Their paws move with silent, calculated precision. The cheetahs are orchestrating a lethal masterpiece. It turns out their designated victims are a herd of wildebeest grazing in the distance. Aiming dead center, the cheetah coalition explodes forward with blinding speed, snatching their prey in a heartbeat. In the chaotic frenzy of the takedown, one cheetah violently tumbles into the dirt. Crashing down and instantly rebounding, the cheetah resumes the hunt with an even more psychotic intensity. Using their genetic mastery of the hunt, they successfully drag the heavy wildebeest down to the earth. Despite sinking its teeth into the victim's neck, the predator still struggles to fully extinguish the wildebeest's desperate fight for life. It takes the ruthless, coordinated effort of the entire pack to finally defeat the massive herbivore. The natural world is an unforgiving arena, heavily rigged with unpredictable and lethal dangers. Sensing an immediate threat, the leopard explosively lunges forward to fight. Both sides clash fearlessly in an uncompromising battle for dominance. Delivering devastating, high-impact strikes, the leopard successfully beats back the cunning hyena. The hyena is universally recognized as one of the most disgusting and cold-blooded scavengers in existence. They employ incredibly cruel, dirty tactics and absolutely never turn down a free meal. Even the weakest, sickliest hyenas can fall victim to being cannibalized by their own bloodthirsty kin. The miserable hyena in this footage is completely drained of its life force. Helpless groans of pure agony echo through the air in absolute despair. Just minutes after the brutal confrontation, it collapses into the dirt, defeated. A leopard clamps down on a dog, dragging it high into a tree to secure the kill from the prying eyes of rival predators. Out of nowhere, an armed hunting team arrives just in time to rescue the dog from the jaws of the assassin. This unlucky leopard was sprinting across a paved highway when it was violently struck by a speeding vehicle. Driven by pure survival instinct, the beast frantically slashes its claws against the rubber tire in a delusional counterattack. A dog suddenly charges in, barking furiously, eager to tear into the downed predator. The leopard operates like a ghost, persistently stalking its target and closing the gap with terrifying stealth. And then, in a fraction of a second, the beast pounces, slamming its prey to the ground to execute a suffocating kill. The sinister silhouette of the leopard prowls for flesh inside an abandoned, pitch-black workshop. It confidently navigates the human structure without triggering a single alarm or making a sound. The unfortunate victim doesn't even have a split second to react before being dragged away into the abyss. A domestic dog was aimlessly wandering down the road when the Grim Reaper itself, a leopard, exploded from the bushes to deliver a fatal strike. Right at the beginning of the clip, a clueless domestic dog finds itself hopelessly lost in the deadly forest. Despite thrashing wildly to break free from the razor-sharp jaws, the dog is ultimately powerless against the overwhelming, cold-blooded strength of this apex predator.